April 2024. I've hatched an ambitious plan to spend the summer bikepacking through the Rockies with my partner Claudia, carrying mountaineering gear with us on our bikes and climbing some big peaks along the way. We're also going to be riding what might be the most scenic and spectacular paved road in the world, so we know we're in for an incredible few months. I fly into Vancouver from the UK and have a few weeks of exploring British Columbia by myself as Claudia finishes up some work contracts. I'm immediately blown away by the beauty of interior BC. There's so much space and wilderness, and this part of the world is an adventure paradise. This trip is going to be a new adventure for both of us. I've never done any serious mountaineering before, so when it comes to the mountaineering part of our trip, Claudia is going to be showing me the ropes. She, on the other hand, has never been bikepacking before, and she's going in straight at the deep end with a huge journey that will take us all the way down through the US to Mexico. This is the packing chaos. This is what we kind of think of as negotiation.
The non-padded bike shorts.
Yes.
And then this is probably where you're going to tell me no. I have a capri pant.
No.
That one.
No. You don't need. That gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tops.
God, this is like warfare. Jesus.
What is this?
Don't look at that.
I'm looking at it. Listen, look at the size of that thing.
Don't look at it.
There's no way that you can fill that up with toiletries.
No.
That is insane.
No.
Let me see the weight.
I want it. Don't touch my things.
I'm going to play this back to you when you're struggling up every hill.
It's fine.
We started out with a quick overnight shakedown trip not too far from Claudia's home in Squamish, just to make sure that everything was working okay and that the bikes were running smoothly. Pretty quickly though, the big day had arrived. Claudia said goodbye to her cat Gilbert, and we were ready to hit the road. The first few weeks of our trip would take us northeast from the west coast, 1,000 kilometers of riding to reach the start of the Rockies. I'd chosen a pretty straightforward and direct route, as we really just wanted to reach the Rockies as quickly as possible, and although it wasn't as scenic as what was to come, this being Canada, there was still plenty of moments of incredible beauty along the way. Most of all, the first couple of weeks were about finding the rhythm. Living on a bicycle isn't easy, but Claudia was doing an amazing job getting used to the lifestyle.
Freaking did it!
How do you feel?
Yeah, 139 meters of climbing is exactly how I thought it would feel on my legs.
Feels great, right?
Great. It's totally great. So this is about 16 pitches. I climbed that a couple of years ago.
You climbed that?
I climbed that.
How long did that take you?
The whole freaking day.
I'm currently riding through a thunderstorm. Okay, so it's time to see what kind of reaction we get when Claudia realizes that there are... I thought they were llamas, but apparently there are packers, but let's see what we get.
Oh my god. There's llamas.
I think they're llamas, right?
I think they're llamas. Oh my god.
Come back down to earth. It's just as good as up there. Gonna keep you near, 'cause you're all I need, my dear. Do you feel the winds are turning round? 'Cause what goes up must always come back down. But I'll be safe in your arms.
We made it to the town of Valmont, and from there it was only another couple of hours' ride to our first view of Mount Robson, the highest mountain in the Canadian Rockies. We decided to do a little detour to camp for a couple of nights at Kinney Lake at the base of Mount Robson. A really nice track leads out to the lake, and Kinney Lake is easily one of the most beautiful lakes I've ever seen, so we were really happy to have a good weather window with which to really appreciate it, and enough time to get out and explore some of the surrounding area on foot. After Kinney, it was an easy day's ride to the town of Jasper, where we stashed our bikes for a week in order to do some hiking. Claudia's friend Dawn had driven out from Vancouver to join us, and we headed out for a 3-day hiking loop on a route called the Tonquin Valley Trail. Claudia and I did a little more exploring whilst being hosted by a lovely couple named Sylvie and Scott at their home in Jasper. We then packed up our bikes, now heavier than ever with our mountaineering gear, which Dawn had kindly brought out for us, and we pedalled out of Jasper heading south. The next section was the bit we'd really been looking forward to. The Icefields Parkway is a 230-kilometre road connecting Jasper and Lake Louise just north of Banff, running through some of the most outrageously beautiful scenery in the world. For bike touring on paved roads, I honestly don't think it gets any better than the Icefields Parkway. There's a wide shoulder throughout, so traffic never felt like a major issue, there are plenty of great places to camp, and the scenery seemed to get better and better. The Icefields Parkway is truly out of this world, and it ranks as easily one of the best paved roads I've ever cycled. The centre point of the Icefields Parkway is the Columbia Icefield, the largest icefield in the Rockies, where we'll be stopping to take on our first mountaineering challenge, a summit attempt of Mount Athabasca at 3,491 metres. We got our gear together and were soon joined by our new friend Thomas, who'd driven for several hours to join us for the climb. Thomas had already summited Athabasca on a previous trip, but was joining us so we'd have 3 people for a rope team. We hid our bikes behind some bushes and were up early for an alpine start on Athabasca. The climb itself was straightforward. Everything went smoothly and I couldn't have asked for a better introduction into mountaineering. The views were spectacular and the experience was amazing. This is definitely a sport I'd like to do more of.
This does feel like the high point.
Woo!
Mount Athabasca!
All right.
Woo! Phew. Nice job. Thanks, Thomas.
Thanks so much, man.
For coming for a
Appreciate it. Take my Oh, anytime, buddy. I'll take your Virginian, anything, dude. Love you.
With Athabasca summited, we made our way safely back down, and after saying goodbye to Thomas, we got back on the bikes to carry on with the second half of the parkway. The scenery continued to be spectacular, and we were having a blast. The only slight downside was that traffic for the second half was pretty high, as we were riding this in July, peak summer in the Canadian Rockies. I think ideally, if I were to ride this again, and one day I would definitely really like to, I'd be coming in the shoulder seasons, spring or autumn, when the weather would probably be worse, when I'd likely have the place much more to myself. That said, we were starting to see more and more lakes, and in the summer heat, we never needed any excuse to jump in and cool off. We made it to Lake Louise at the end of the Icefields Parkway, and we again hid our bikes in the bushes for another nighttime mission, hiking up to a viewpoint over Lake Louise for the sunrise. Well worth it for the views, even if the mosquitoes were the worst we'd seen all summer. We spent the day hiking and catching up on sleep, and then the following day we cycled the rest of the way into Banff and then Canmore, which we were going to be using as a base for the next few weeks. After a few days' rest, we headed back to Lake Louise and cycled up to Moraine Lake, another ludicrously beautiful spot on my bucket list. Our reason for visiting wasn't just the lake though, as we again stashed our bikes to tackle our next mountaineering objective, Mount Temple at 3,544 metres. Summer. This would turn out to be the last adventure Claudia and I would share together. Behind the scenes, our relationship had been having some serious problems, and in the end it was decided that we'd go our separate ways, as neither of us were happy with how things were going. A breakup is never easy, but I was really fortunate to have access to a lot of wilderness therapy, as I spent the next few weeks doing some of the best hikes in the Canadian Rockies. Time alone in the wilderness has always been my best way to deal with life's challenges, and I found it impossible to be too sad surrounded by so much raw beauty. By the time I got back to my bike and pedalled out of Canmore, I was feeling good and ready for the road ahead. Next up was something I've been looking forward to for almost a decade, the Great Divide mountain bike route.